Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Melbourne Town Hall. My name is Carly Dixon. I'm the Executive for Corporate and Public Affairs at Melbourne Airport and your host for this evening. I would like to acknowledge the people of the Kulin Nation who are the traditional custodians of the land on which we are gathered tonight. I would also like to pay my respect to their elders past and present and extend that respect to other Indigenous Australians present. Though our venue will be familiar, tonight is a stakeholder update with a difference. We won't disappoint those of you interested to hear more about what we've been up to over the last year, but we're going to cast your minds back a little further than usual and take a look at what has been achieved over the last 8 years during the tenure of our outgoing CEO, Chris Woodruff. We'll be hearing from Chris shortly. He will, of course, be on a 3-second time delay so that we have the ability to censor for this family-friendly time slot. Before we do that, I'd like to introduce the Chairman of the Australia Pacific Airports Corporation, Mr. David Crawford, to formally commence proceedings.
Thank you, Carly, and good evening to everyone. On behalf of the board, it is my great pleasure to welcome you here tonight. As the aviation gateway to Victoria, we all shared an interest in the successful growth of Melbourne Airport, and it is pleasing that so many of our stakeholders from across business, government and the community have been able to join us here tonight. In particular, I acknowledge our state government ministers as well as representatives from airlines, our service providers and contractors, retailers and the wider Melbourne Airport community. We greatly appreciate your continued support for Melbourne Airport and in helping us to deliver a world-class airport for Victorians. The changing skyline of Melbourne Airport as you come off the Tullamarine Freeway tells a story of growth and transformation. Our new domestic terminal is close to completion, along with the multi-level ground transport hub. When it opens later this year, the new domestic terminal will provide a whole new level of experience for our domestic airline customers, our retailers, our service providers and our travelling public. It will also strengthen Melbourne's position as a centre of growth for domestic aviation, particularly for customers such as Jetstar, Tiger Air and Regional Express. Of course, the new domestic terminal project is just one part of the transformation that is underway at Melbourne Airport. And while a great deal has been achieved since we hosted our last stakeholder event only 9 months ago, the changes you are seeing at Melbourne Airport now are part of a much bigger transformation which commenced some 8 years ago when Chris Woodruff arrived to take up the role of CEO. Customarily, our stakeholder evenings are to provide a review of the year just finished. But tonight, we are taking a longer-term view and looking at what has been accomplished during Chris's tenure as our CEO. It is an opportunity to reflect on how a great deal has been achieved in a relatively short period and how it will contribute to the success and prosperity of Victoria's future generations. It is also an occasion for us to publicly acknowledge Chris for the tremendous leadership he has shown during that time. I know there are many government ministers and officials who will testify to Chris's passion for Melbourne Airport and his pursuit of the opportunities available for it. His energy and passion for our business, for our customers, for passengers, for airports and for the aviation industry in general is reflected in the successful growth of Melbourne Airport under his stewardship. I'm sure Chris will be the first to acknowledge the contribution made by the team at Melbourne Airport and everyone from our customers through to our local community who have been a part of our success. But we should also properly acknowledge the role he has played in achieving these results. Chris, on behalf of our board, the Melbourne Airport management team and staff, thank you for your leadership over the past 8 years, and we extend our sincere best wishes for your future endeavours. And now, please, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chris Woodruff.
Okay, let's get this road on the show. Thank you, David, and thank you for those very kind and flattering comments. Ni hao. Good evening, and thank you for joining us for a special instalment of our Stakeholder event. When I first arrived at Melbourne Airport in 2007, a local journalist cheekily noted that I was not shy in declaring my ambition to make Melbourne Airport the best it could possibly be in Australia. 8 years on, I think we've come a long way towards realising that ambition. And as the banners on our construction sites say, there is a transformation underway at Melbourne Airport, and indeed there has been since 2007. And I am very privileged to have led the team that is delivering that transformation at the same time as managing unprecedented growth. We can look back with great pride at what has been achieved so far, and also look ahead with great optimism about the future. Now, as many of you know, I like to present an annual report to our stakeholders reflecting on achievements and progress over the past year. I'm going to extend that time frame somewhat tonight and look back at where we've come from since 2007, so please be patient for a while. My stakeholder report looks at our performance against the 4 company goals of growth, investor returns, reputation and people, and I'll follow a very similar approach tonight. For us, first and foremost is safety and making sure everyone returns home every night to their loved ones, and pleasingly, we are continuing to do just that. We've also fulfilled all of our regulatory requirements with no major security incidents. And in this increasingly challenging security environment, we'll continue to work with the Australian Federal Police, the government, our suppliers and contractors to maintain a safe and secure airport precinct. To our passenger numbers, over the past 8 years, they have grown significantly. In 2007, total passenger numbers at Melbourne were around 22 million. By the end of May, more than 32 million had travelled through Melbourne Airport during the past 12 months, an increase of nearly 45%, an average annual growth of just under 5%. But it's our international passengers where I think we've really made our mark. From a little over 4.5 million annual passengers in 2007 to just over 8.3 million in the last 12 months. That's an increase of almost 85%. And while the market shares of our northern friends have declined over the last 8 years, ours have grown to nearly 25%, which means that Melbourne is finally getting its share of the international passengers to match its national economic and population share. There is no doubt that the driving force of our market share growth has been Asia, and in particular, China. We were the first Australian airport to implement a strategy specifically for our Chinese visitors. Signage and public announcements in Mandarin and facilitation of large groups through the security and customs process with a Mandarin-speaking assistant are supported by cultural training for all of our staff on the do's and don'ts of Chinese culture. All of this has made coming to Victoria that much easier for our Chinese visitors, and it's paid off. Since 2007, the number of passengers travelling between Melbourne and China has grown nearly 3 times as quickly as the combined average of every other country. That's annual growth of 15%, and it outstrips those airports to our north, the growth at 12% and 9% respectively. The growth in our Chinese markets was driven by increased air capacity, which was the result of a great team effort, including by many of you here tonight. The difference you have made has supported the growth in our highest spending visitor market, our education sector, our property market, and the export of our fine, fresh Victorian produce to that magnificent country. Going back to the things that we do better than Sydney and Brisbane, which is what I really enjoy doing, when you look at Australia's top 20 growth markets over the last 8 years, Melbourne was the clear winner with the highest or equal highest average annual growth in all but one market. And over the last 8 years, aside from a special appearance by France, Asia has been our star growth region, specifically China, Vietnam, India, Malaysia and the Philippines. This graph also shows that we achieved exactly what we set out to achieve, but we didn't do it alone. It has been said that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, and that is exactly what has happened with our main competitor to the north when they replicated our Team Victoria model. Team Victoria brings together the brightest and the best of Victoria's tourism industry, from government departments to key industry stakeholders, to work together, and it has worked. Together, we showcased our great state and city and showed airlines why Melbourne was worth their while. The result was increased market share above average market growth and giving a warm welcome to new airlines and new customers. Representing the growing regions and routes in recent years, since 2007, we've welcomed new airlines to Melbourne, including AirAsia X, AirAsia Indonesia X, Etihad, Royal Brunei, Air India, Sichuan Airlines, Air Calin, Air Vanuatu, Qatar Airways. And throughout the last 8 years, many of our other international airlines have expanded services or introduced new routes. To all of our airlines, can I thank you for your continued support. Closer to home, we are delighted to be the Australian home base for Jetstar, as well as their growing fleet of Boeing 787 Dreamliners. Similarly, Tiger has made a very strong commitment to Melbourne, basing its fleet here, and we are so pleased to have been able to support them during their growth phase. Australia's fastest growing airlines have contributed to nearly 34% growth in domestic passengers since 2007. Now, at an average annual increase of nearly 4%, that's an additional 6 million domestic passengers passing through our airport every year. Our domestic market share has grown to 21%, while those airports to our north have both declined. The growth in domestic and international passengers has been supported by the transformation of our airside and our landside infrastructure, whether it's been expanding our international terminal, opening new retail facilities, new baggage carousels, building a brand new terminal to support the growth in domestic air travel, or the ongoing expansion of our airfield to support more aircraft movements. We have been committed to supporting the growth of our airline customers. This in turn has paid big dividends for Victoria, increasing the number of air services to and from Melbourne and providing Victorians with more opportunities to travel to domestic and international destinations. The growth in passenger services has also supported the growth in air freight that is handled through Melbourne Airport. We are now the leading Australian airport for air freight exports, growing more than 49% since 2007, just a little more than our northern competitors, and providing Victorian producers and manufacturers with access to world markets around the clock. This in turn has supported the development of a very significant freight and logistics operation, spurring new investment in facilities and creating new jobs for the region. Technology improvements have always played a large role in making air travel more efficient and I think generally more enjoyable. It's also improving the services we provide to our customers. We've introduced a mobile app, an online car park booking system, a state-of-the-art licence plate recognition system, and technology that helps you find a car parking bay as well as your car. We were also the first airport in the world to introduce self-service check-in and bag drop facilities for international services, and we are proud of these advancements and how they are making travelling easier for our customers. We've grown in terms of passengers, freight and infrastructure, and we have also run a successful business. Since 2007, we've delivered average annual total shareholder returns of approximately 15%. This has produced an increase in company value of more than $2.5 billion, or double what the company was worth in 2007. And every year, we've also delivered average annual revenue growth of 9% and operating profit growth of 10%. One of the great success stories of the privatisation of Australian airports has been the ability to attract investment capital to support the growth of the aviation sector. In turn, this investment has supported economic growth and has delivered returns for the investors who, in the most part, have been managing the retirement incomes of millions of Australians. The scale of the investment you see at Melbourne Airport now is testament to our success in running a profitable business, of maintaining strong relationships with leading domestic and international banks that support us in accessing global capital markets, and the confidence our shareholders have in the ability of the team to continue to grow successfully. Since 2007, we have invested nearly $2.5 billion in capital projects, which is significantly more than the profits we have generated. Now, as these large numbers of our own money, I might say, roll easily off the tongue, I can assure you the volatile nature of our industry means we are never complacent about the importance of managing our costs while also meeting the needs of our customers and growing our business, particularly during a period of record capital investment. The numbers also don't convey the time, sweat and sometimes tears that the team has put into delivering projects. Taking a bird's eye view of things, this little video gives you a sneak peek at some of the projects we'll complete in the coming months. Looking a little further back, in 2010 we expanded our international terminal. It was the first purpose-built retail area and doubled the size of our duty-free zone. It was also the beginning of bringing Melbourne's culinary clout to the airport, with Shannon Bennett and Frank Camora opening offshoots of their award-winning restaurants at Melbourne Airport. Since then, we've refurbished Terminal 3 with Virgin's new branding. We've added new gates, aerobridges and baggage carousels. Plans are well underway for the expansion of the international terminal and a new domestic terminal that's about the size of the domestic throughput at Perth Airport will open for business in the coming months. On the airfield, we extended a runway, then we resurfaced both of our runways. We're replacing all of the 40-year-old concrete on our taxiways while also building new taxiways. We're expanding our freight apron, we've created more parking bays, and later this year we'll open 21 more as part of the new terminal. We've also commenced detailed planning and technical studies for the development of a proposed new runway, which will see Melbourne Airport's airfield ready to cater for the projected 60 million annual passengers within the next 20 years. Getting around our terminal precinct is now much easier. Since 2007, we've invested nearly $250 million expanding and extending our internal road network. The new APAC drive and the more recent upgrades to Terminal and Melrose drives are particularly critical. Now, I'm sure you'd all be disappointed if I didn't mention the mother of all roads. We're going to open the first phase of our long-term road solution as part of the new terminal, and I look forward to returning in a few years to see how our plans have come to life. And by this time next week, we will have officially opened our newest road, the new Airport Drive. At $100 million, this will be a second major entrance to the airport, connecting directly to the M80 Western Ring Road. And when it gets here, the rail link will enter the airport via our new Airport Drive. Although this significant investment in our road infrastructure has been welcomed by the majority of our stakeholders, I am aware that during construction there might have been the odd moments of frustration for transport operators, but can I thank you for your patience during this time? I think you'll all agree that the end result will be worth it. Our commercial development team has also been busy, developing over 65 hectares since 2007 to provide around 200,000 square metres of new accommodation to make our business park one of the most sought-after freight, logistics and warehouse developments in the country. There have been many projects and many more people involved in delivering them, and it's a great credit to everyone in our business that we've continued to grow and invest and still deliver great returns to our shareholders. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our board and our shareholders, led by one of Australia's most respected business leaders, David Crawford. They have supported me, they have supported the team, they have supported our ambition. It has been a privilege to have worked for you. Over the years, we've also been very conscious of the importance of building and strengthening relationships with the range of stakeholders that are so important to our success. This includes our airline customers, our service providers, our regulators, policymakers, and of course, the communities we serve. Successfully managing all of these stakeholders is critical to the safe and efficient operation of the airport on a daily basis, as well as our longer-term licence to operate from government and the community. Each and every year, we take the pulse of our stakeholders through an audit process. We've just commenced the process for this year, and many of you here will be asked to let us know what you think. The stakeholder comments are always a great insight into ways in which we can improve how we go about our business. But overall, I'm always immensely proud of the sense of commitment and purpose from our team that is reflected in these results. Where shortcomings are identified, we have responded as a business to do better, and that change is invariably reflected in the following audit. While we operate in a highly commercial environment, the different levels of government are also very, very influential to our success. Now, it will surprise none of you to hear that from time to time, I've liked to give governments of all persuasions a bit of a nudge to get them moving on different issues. Now, whether it's been on local planning issues, permits for new roads, or bilateral air service agreements, we've been prepared to make the case to government over what needs to be done to support the growth of our airport, the aviation sector, and Victoria. Since 2007, we have successfully submitted and had approved 2 master plans to guide the long-term development of the airport. And we've submitted and had approved numerous major development plans to secure government approval for various on-airport developments. The green light from government for all of our projects again reflects the quality of our relationships and the strength of our reputation as a business. I am pleased to see the federal and state governments committing their support for the Tullamarine Freeway upgrade, which has been the subject of regular advocacy on our part. We need to, and we will, keep working with our very excellent state government on the planning and ultimate delivery of rail to Melbourne Airport. As I've mentioned, the safety and security of our people is not something we take lightly. In 2007, we had an injury frequency rate of 5.2 with less than 50,000 construction hours. To date, in this financial year, the frequency of injuries has declined to 2.8 and we've completed roughly 3,350,000 construction hours. In light of the record construction activity underway, we have made a great progress in this area. The security environment in which we work is ever-changing. In addition to the roughly 1,800 passengers we security screen every hour, or the roughly 10 million pieces of hand luggage we screen every year, Melbourne Airport's security processes are recognised as world-class. Whether it's the global smart security team we were asked to be a part of, which will determine the world's future screening processes, or the global trial on remote screening concepts to occur in the coming months, the security of every passenger, visitor and staff member at Melbourne Airport is always top of mind. Environmentally, we remain one of the few airports in Australia to be accredited to the global standard ISO 14001. And since 2007, we've successfully had 2 environmental management plans approved. We've upgraded our stormwater infrastructure to improve quality. We've trialled electric vehicles. We've installed energy-efficient lights in our car parks. We were also the first airport in Australia to install LED lights on the airfield. And per passenger, we've reduced CO2 emissions and waste disposed to landfill by 10% and 43% respectively. We also work with many organisations that make Melbourne Airport and our local community better places. The Salvation Army and the Army chaplains who provide ongoing support for airport staff. Western Chances, who develop a pipeline of talented young people from some of our underprivileged areas. Our new Homework Club. And of course, our great local councils and MPs who encourage us to grow and develop to provide local employment opportunities. Thank you all. Finally, I'd like to turn to the goal about our people. The aviation industry can present all kinds of challenges, ranging from weather-related disruptions, a changing security screen, unfortunate incidents, tough business decisions, intense period of construction activity. Throughout it all, it's our people who keep passengers moving safely and securely at Australia's second largest passenger airport. How long will it be until someone can stand up here and say it's the largest? Answers on a postcard. It's our people who ultimately at the heart of our business. And since 2007, we've proudly grown the Melbourne Airport team by about 35%. Every year, our staff survey gives us great insight, and over recent years, as a result of that feedback, we've introduced programs such as successful health and wellbeing programs, and we've revamped our staff accommodation. Aligned with our focus on Chinese passengers, we also instigated a staff exchange program with our sister airport in Chengdu in the province of Sichuan. I am proud of the team we have built and their professionalism and resilience. To my team, a team that includes the best in the business and whose expertise and capabilities are widely recognised throughout the industry and by our stakeholders, it has been a privilege to have led you all. And just a final couple of thank yous to my shield, Anna Gillett, and to my rock, Tanya. Thank you. I've covered just some of our achievements tonight, and let's take a look at just a few more.
Behind the 1767 taxi road.
Over 40 years ago, I walked into a newsagent in a small village called Youghal in the county of Surrey and said, "Give me a job." They did. And so began my career. One of the partners in that business, Malcolm Edwards, is here tonight, having led several businesses across the globe and finally some here in Australia where he settled. He taught me at a very young age some fundamentals about business, about customers, about competition, about doing things with passion, about having fun, and about looking after your people. Thank you, my friend. So I guess you could say, if you don't like what we've achieved in the last 8 years, it's his fault. The success of our business over the past 8 years is a great credit to all of you who have been part of the APAC family, past and present. It's also a result of the great relationships we've built with our customers and industry stakeholders, as well as government and the wider Victorian community. Everyone here has contributed to the success of Melbourne Airport and to the success of my time and to the success of Victoria. I will look back on my time here with great affection. And as I look around at the transformation of Melbourne Airport, I'll have just a modest sense of achievement. While you can't always believe what you read in the newspapers, the reporter I spoke to in 2007 about our plans was pretty much on the money. So, thank you. It's been an honour and a privilege to have served and worked with you for the past 8 years. All that remains now is for me to say au revoir and goodbye. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. Chris has always put customers and stakeholder relationships at the centre of everything we do, and he's always particularly enjoyed his dealings with government. I am not sure the feeling has always been mutual for those on the receiving end, but certainly Chris has never left ministers, their advisors or officials in any doubt as to what he thinks of a particular policy or the decisions government should be taking to support the airport and the great state of Victoria. Before I bring this evening's event to a close, I'd like to take this opportunity to say a few words about Chris. At a personal level, and I'm sure I speak on behalf of many of my colleagues at Melbourne and Launceston airports, it has been a great pleasure and privilege to work with Chris. Chris has been a great mentor for many of us. We have been fortunate to learn from and work alongside one of the best in the business. He's been a tough boss at times, but in the best possible way, always challenging us to do better. We have all benefited from his sharp business acumen, his deep industry knowledge, and his passion for investing in people. Not to mention the occasionally confronting turn of phrase and the importance of a good stakeholder engagement over a pint or two. We are grateful. We will miss him. Thank you all for being with us tonight and to honour the past and to join with us in looking to the exciting future for Melbourne Airport as we continue to build on this firm foundation. Now let's celebrate the end of an era and a great man, and wish him well as he embarks on the next phase of his life and career. Thank you and good night.